Hello, everyone. This is James Templeton with the Templeton Wellness Foundation, and I'm so excited today. We're here with Joe Tippens, and Joe Tippens has quite a story to share with you. And if you don't have my book, I Used to Have Cancer, How I Found My Own Way Back to Health, please get it. You can get it at Amazon, or you can go to iusedtohavecancer.com, and we'll give you 3 free downloads. Check it out. You'll see it on the site. But anyway, let's get started here. And Joe, welcome. It's nice to have you today.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm in Berlin, Germany.
Well, that's unbelievable. You know, with the technology nowadays, it's like we can sit here and talk anywhere. So you have quite a story, and can you just tell us how this started and a little bit about your diagnosis and how this came to be?
Oh, sure. So in Labor Day weekend of 2016, 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, I had accepted a partnership position with a firm in Zurich, Switzerland, and had my Swiss green card and my apartment and my clothes were already moved, and I was moving to Switzerland. And I went into a weekend doc-in-a-box urgent care center because I had a little bit of nasal congestion and I didn't want to get on the long flight. Mm-hmm. And the guy did a chest X-ray and he even brought me back to look at it. It didn't look like anything to me. And he was kind of my first savior. He just wouldn't take no for an answer, and he bugged me all day Sunday and all day Monday before my Tuesday morning flight to Zurich. And finally, Monday afternoon, I went in for a CT, and I had a tumor in my left lobe of my lower left lung, the size of my fist. With no symptoms. I had no symptoms, zero. I had no idea. And so I picked up the phone and called Switzerland and canceled my trip and canceled my acceptance of that job, and started a journey with MD Anderson in Houston, Texas. And through a comedy of errors that weren't their fault, I got pneumonia along the way, and they had to change the regimen and double up the radiation. They fried my esophagus into bacon when nothing would go down or up. And instead of doing a feeding tube, I decided to live off of my fat stores and my muscle stores. And I went 8 weeks with no nutrients in my body, zero. And went in and IV fluids to keep me hydrated along the way. And in December of 16, which 3 months later, I had a scan and they said, well, we have great news, Joe. The great big monster tumor in your lower left lung is gone. And by the way, the biopsy revealed that it was small cell lung cancer, which is the more aggressive of the two kinds of lung cancer. The good news is that it was gone from the big one was gone from my lower left lung, but the bad news is it metastasized entirely from head to toe. I had tumors in my neck, in my stomach, my liver, my bladder, my pancreas, and in my bones from head to toe. Wow. And I don't know if your listeners know, but statistically, when you have small cell lung cancer that metastasizes that far afield, you're a goner.
Yeah.
Basically, the life expectancy goes below 1%, and the median life expectancy is around 3 months. And so, that sobering news was given me, and I was pretty much told, go home and hire hospice.
Yes.
And here's where the plot thickens and my story changed. I got a call the next day from a large animal veterinarian, cattle and horse doctor in Western Oklahoma. I'm from Oklahoma. And I went to college with this guy, and I knew his children and everybody. He basically told me this crazy story about a scientist at Merck Animal Health on the veterinary medicine side that had been implanting cancer in her mice brains and stomachs and livers, and was doing cancer research. and her entire mouse population, as the story was told to me, her entire mouse population came down with intestinal parasites. And so she gave what is given to all animals, whether it's fish all the way up to elephants in the animal.
Yeah.
Is a drug called Fenbendazole, which is in the anthelmintic class of drugs. Anthelmintic only means to kill intestinal parasites.
Yes.
And lo and behold, she saved her mouse population from dying of intestinal parasites. But when she came back several weeks later, she cured the mice of cancer. And as the story went, she herself got 4-stage glioblastoma wrapped around her brainstem, was told to go home and hire hospice. He decided what the heck, started taking this stuff, and cleared herself in like 12 weeks. So that's a short-winded answer to the very next day. I started taking Fenbendazole, and I'm taking the veterinary product, the dog dewormer.
Is it like a pill or?
No, it's a dry, tasteless powder that people use to mix into dog food to deworm their dogs. And I do the same thing. I just mix it with yogurt or a smoothie, or sometimes I just throw it in the back of my throat and toss it down.
And is that something you had to have a prescription to have, or?
No, I mean, look, this is a veterinary medicine drug.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be taking it for human consumption, but what the heck?
Yeah.
Bought it at 1-800-PetMeds.com, and I'm such a good customer, I get a dog bone with each order. So, so I basically, through self-research, I did probably 2,000 or 3,000 hours of research myself, added a few other things to the regimen, which is now called the Joe Tippens protocol, which is beyond bizarre to me.
Yeah.
But I added curcumin, bioavailable curcumin, and CBD oil and vitamin E to the regimen. And I went through a period of unknown. I went all through January and February and March and April of 2017, waiting to die, because the median life expectancy was 3 months, and I was not supposed to survive. But I felt fine. There were no symptoms. I felt great. I was, working again. I went in for a scan the first week of May of 17, so 3.5 months later, and I was all clear.
Wow.
So a previous PET scan that lit up like a Christmas tree from my neck to my pelvis and in my bones and in all my internal organs was now gone completely. And it's called NED, no evidence of disease, as you know.
Yes.
And so I didn't fess up to my doctors what I had been doing, but they were all kind of in shock.
Thought it was just a miracle kind of thing, or is that what they were?
No, and to be honest with you, and I'm learning a lot more as we go here. We now have hundreds or thousands of patients using this now. But at the time, I was when it was put on a clinical trial, experimental drug, and they told me at the outset, this drug will not save your life.
Mm-hmm.
It will not put you in remission. Our best case scenario is it'll buy you a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best case. So I said, what the heck? And so the reason I really didn't tell them at that point was that I thought, I don't want to get kicked off this trial.
Yeah.
And so I waited until the May scan was clear. I waited until the July scan was clear, and then I waited until the September scan was clear. And then the trial was over. And after the trial was over and they couldn't kick me off of it, then I fessed up as to what I was taking.
Yeah.
And I've had some very interesting conversations with my physicians over the last 3 years since then. I'm now 30 months all clear, completely no evidence of disease now after being told no hope.
Now, what did the physician think about it? What you told him?
Well, there's the private physician that you've become a friend with behind a closed door, and there's the public physician who represents a major cancer hospital.
Yeah.
The private guy and the public guy are two separate things, right? So I think behind closed doors, he basically goes, okay, I admit what you did had an impact.
Mm-hmm.
But publicly as an institution, he can't make that statement. This immunotherapy drug is actually quite successful with non-small cell lung cancer.
Yeah.
But with small cell, it's not successful. I mean, it was an objective response trial, and the objective was to buy people an extra, 1.5 years.
Yeah.
And they judged the success or failure of the trial based on that objective. Well, there's not anybody else in total remission
Yeah.
other than me, and so to me, there's no way that it had anything to do with my success.
Yeah.
And now that I have 100 other success stories in all different cancer types in all different stages, I am even more convinced than ever. My story spread like wildfire just by word of mouth. Forget social media, just by word of mouth. I was getting 20 and 30 calls a day from all over the world, and I was having to start from ground zero, just like I'm doing with you, telling this story of how I ended up in this position.
Yes.
And I decided, I can't be doing this all day long. I have a real job.
Yeah.
And so I wrote the blog so that I could just point people to go read it instead of me telling the story over and over and over again.
Right. Right.
Not even intending or that the blog would go viral. And then it made my world even more complex because it did go viral.
Yeah.
And some of the stories of virality of a cancer story like this are just insane. But I had to set up a discussion group on Facebook by the same name, My Cancer Story Rocks. And then it went viral. And now then I had to engage volunteer moderators and administrators to manage the Facebook page because it's a full-time job, 24/7.
Right.
And we're limiting that Facebook page to only cancer patients and caregivers.
Mm-hmm.
Not anybody can get in there.
Right.
And we're limiting it to the discussion of the protocol that saved me and now 100 other people. Now, since then, what's even crazier is a PhD student at Arizona State University, Chinese, translated the blog into 2 different languages, and without even asking my permission, just did it, which I'm okay with. I don't care. I'm not trying to make money off this. He posted the blog in China. I didn't even know he did. And about 3 weeks ago, I got a call from the editor of Beijing News, which is owned by the Chinese government. And the guy spoke perfect English, almost with a British accent, it felt like, and told me that I was a rock star in China, and that the Chinese website had 3.5 million hits, and this is just nuts, and that he estimated that there were between 30 and 50,000 people in China on the protocol. Well, first of all, it's amazing that a weekend emergency clinic doctor wouldn't take no for an answer. I had no symptoms. I was heading to Zurich. He stopped me and saved my life.
Yeah.
And then a horse doctor and cattle doctor in Western Oklahoma saves my life. And I felt compelled to give back, so I put this blog up, and now it's become a life all of its own, and I'm trying to manage it while I have a career.
Well, I want to thank you, Joe. It's a wonderful story, and you're doing some wonderful work, and you're helping a huge amount of people, especially in China, it sounds like. And, that's very, very, very interesting. But I want to thank you for being with me and for your time and you're over in Germany, and we're over here in Idaho. So it's a long ways, but it works and it's great. And I want to thank you so much, and good luck going forward with everything, and keep up the good work and keep feeling well and I'll keep up with everything you're doing. I'm excited about it.
If you got any questions, give me a shout, and I appreciate you inviting me.
So anyway, this is James Templeton. We'll see you next time. Have a wonderful, healthy rest of your day.